reason. Hello everybody and welcome to my build for the Pet Sorcerer for the Homestead patch. I know some people don't like pets and I know these can be quite difficult to control on the console, so I'll be making a non-pet Sorc build as well. I've been given a few ideas by people, adapted those ideas to myself, and fingers crossed should be good. But this will be for the Pet Sorcerer playstyle for those people who do like to play pets. It's probably my preference, but I'm starting to mix it up a little bit how I play. I'm really enjoying the DK right now, so I haven't really touched the Sorc much. But this build really has great stats. It's much better stats than my previous Pet Sorc build in my opinion. And the best bit is it has more overall sustain, which was what the build was lacking before in the stamina and magic pools. You had to play it pretty much perfectly, and some wanker has just overdone it. But I don't even care. So, first things first, the sets. We're running with One Piece Monarch's Kenner. This is for the spell damage. It's also in heavy for the Undaunted passives because everything else we are running is light. We are then running with 5-piece Amber Plasms. This gives you stamina and magic recovery on the 5-piece as well as some crit, spell damage and magicka. The crit scales really nice with pets. One of the reasons I went with Amber Plasm was I was playing around, and although pets mostly scale off magicka, the scaling from the crit was a lot better than penetration, that sort of stuff. So I felt it would be nice to give it a go. At the same time, it has magic and spell damage, which again are great stats. Last but not least, we are running on the jewelry, the staff, and one piece of the body. Necropotence, your bread and butter pet set. It's given you the max magicka galore with the pets. All of the pieces at Impen, you don't necessarily have to do that. If you want to run a different trait, you can. I just don't see any trait that's useful. I mean, you could take Divines for a tiny bit more sustain or anything, but like I don't think anything else is really necessary. And although you're only getting that crit resist when your shields are down, it can save you a little bit, so it is useful there. Everything is magicka enchanted. We want to stack that up as high as possible. We've got enough stamina and health anyway. And our jewelry is 1 spell damage, 1 magic recovery, and 1 reduced cost. That works best in my opinion. Our staffs, again, they are necropotence. We're running the weapon and spell damage enchant on the first. The other one, I'm just running the double damage poison. It stacks nicely with the pet dots, the dot from your lightning form, which I'll show you in a sec, and a few other things. So it's very, very nice. We're then going to go on to the skills. We're also going to free someone up in the chat because apparently he's a piece of shit. So we're running on both bars, double pets. We're running the healing pet and we're running the scamp for the stun and a huge amount of damage. It's very, very powerful. It is a skill worth running if you are running pets. You've got to have that skill on your bar. It's too good not to have. They do have a small cast time, so resummoning them open world can be tough. That takes practice to get down, but that's just work. We're then running Crushing Shock. Interrupt is very good, especially the amount of people running this Armor Plasm, you know, Dark Deal shit. You're going to nail those builds. In my opinion, that build's not worth running. I think that you're going to get nailed against a good player. They're just going to interrupt you and then you're fucked. So I think that that's a great skill to run for those builds. If you're stamina, just bash them. But Crushing Shock is great for a magicka-based build for that sort of stuff. Then we're running Hardened Ward, your big damage shield. It's a huge damage shield. Great one to run. And Frag, obviously, when we get that proc, we can use that for a huge amount of damage. Pretty well-known skill. The pet. If you've never played a pet Sorc build, I've explained it in my other builds. Just make sure you keep that synergy up. So when I cast it, I can summon it like so. And when I cast it again, it does a pulse. That pulse is your bread and butter damage. It hits so hard. Keep that on your target all the time. If you want to command a pet, set a command key. That's in the settings. So you go into controls. You go down and there's one called command pet. Here, set it to Y. Y and left click will command it to attack. Y and right click to call it back. My ultimate is Atro. You can run any ultimate there. I don't really want to run Destroy anymore. It's a bit cheese. I'm a bit bored of it. So you can run anything you like there. I'd kind of mix it up. You can play anything. Meteor, Atro, whatever the fuck you like. On the back bar, we are then running Streak. So I'm using Ball of Lightning at the moment. Streak would probably still be better. It is really good for that little bit extra damage if you streak through with a Meteor or whatever. The reason I go Ball of Lightning is Streak is currently bugged when I'm making this video. So it can be a little sketch. Sometimes it's not too reliable. For that reason, Ball of Lightning kind of fixes that problem. As far as I've seen, I've not had the streak bug with this morph, so I just take that for that reason. That's the only reason I go that morph. Daedric Prey. You definitely want this morph of Curse. This really amps the damage of your pets through the roof. You are going to hit so hard with that Scam Pulse. Very good skill. Keep that up 100% of the time. And when the explosion happens, that is when you want to launch your flag. Don't just spam your frags. Wait for the explosion of the Prey, keep the pet's energy up, whack with a frag, all 3 of those at the same time, dead, full health, full shield, won't matter, it's going to be a kill. Harness Magicka, second shield, always nice. I think in tough situations, bar swapping for the shield is a great way to keep them up a lot of the time. I find that very useful. And then again, obviously we have to double bar the pets. And why did it just randomly take my skill off? I have no idea. And then our back bar is Overload. And on our Overload bar, we have a few other skills. We've got Pet, Lightning Form, which I'll show you now. Bound a Storm, that gives us mobility, resistances if our shield's down, and a pretty decent dot. I like that dot. It's nice. It adds up in a close combat situation, which is sometimes going to be with pets. And the other skill we're going to run is Defensive Rune. This one gives you a CC instantly if someone attacks you, so it's a complete gank counter. People won't gank you while you have that up. It's nice when you're riding, that sort of stuff. It's going to save your ass a few times from the little shits running things like the tank spank, you know? Potion wise, we're running spell power pots. You got to run that pot, no choice on it. That's the only way you are going to deal with the spell power buff, and it's also going to give you some crit, which is always nice. And we're running Tri Food as our food rather than Witch's Potent Brew because of the sustain we're getting from Amber Plasm. I think all that's left is the skills. Sorry, the CP. So CP, we're running 100 in Magician, 1 in Warlord. The reason I run 1 in Warlord, and this is just for your point of view, it doesn't affect me, is that some of you are still going to try use that Dark Conversion shit. It is worth sticking 1 in there if you're going to run it. I personally don't run it, but if you're going to run it, then I would suggest putting 1, maybe 2 in there. It's a little bit of extra sustain and the stamina. 60 in Arcanist for the magic recovery, and then 31 in Tumbling to reduce that CC cost, the roll dodge, that sort of stuff if you are in big trouble. I really like 31. It scales good. It's a nice setup. The blue tree, we have 100 in Elemental Expert, 43 in Spell Erosion, 55 in Elfborn, 1 in Blessed, 1 in Staff Expert, and none in Firmatouch. So Firmatouch does increase your pet damage. It does, and it is worth moving some of those Spell Erosion points. However, the reason those points are there is that for the other build I'm going to be playing, they're going to be better in the penetration. So for the pet build, I would move most of those points into your dots. Maybe run 22, 31 in there would be kind of nice, and a couple of spares in there. But for the other build, I just can't be bothered swapping the champion points. I would put them in Spell Erosion, so you'll see that in a bit. Red tree, no need for any crit resist. We're already all impen. That gives us like 1.8. That's plenty. 55 in Hardy and Elemental Defender, 12 in Thick Skin, and 78 in Bastion. I think that tree is bread and butter for most Magsorks. I think that works great. You could put a couple in heals if you care, but I don't think you really need it. So, yeah, a nice quick one. Oh, Mundus quickly. We are running the Atronach. Bit of extra sustain, giving us these sexy stats. 44k Magicka. Our health is 70k. That goes up to 26k with the pets and the PvP buff. They obviously do give us a small buff. Spell damage is anywhere between like 1.9, 2k unbuffed, which is great considering our Magicka pool. And 2k magic recovery, 1k stamina recovery. The stats are good, the build is good, and it will work very successfully. So I hope you enjoy it. Hope it works out for you, and a non-pet